Thank you so much, and Dandavut Pranam at your lotus feet. Please accept my humble obeisances, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Especially my gratitude and thankfulness to His Grace Ramachandra Prabhuji. Prabhuji asked me to speak. I'm not that qualified to speak in front of you all great Vaishnavas. But when Prabhuji asked me, I thought Prabhuji has some plan so he can empower me to speak. So I'm seeking the blessings of Ramachandra Prabhuji and all senior Vaishnavas. Please bless me so that I can say something. So thank you so much. Can I share my screen it says host disabled participant screen sharing.
Yeah, give me 1 second. Let me see. Yeah, you should be fine now.
Okay, so I will go with the pranam mantra. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tado Jayamudiraye Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavada Sevaya Bhagavadi Uttama Sloke Bhaktir Bhavadi Naishtigim. So we are reading from Srimad Bhagavad-Gita, 3rd canto, third chapter, verse number 21. Let me share the... Are you all able to see my screen? Can
Yes,
somebody
Prabhu.
confirm? Okay.
Yes, I'll go.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Okay, so we'll be taking this verse today. Is Bhagavad-Gita, 3rd chapter, 21st verse. Yadyad acharite sreshtas tat eva daro janaha sayat pramanam kurude logastat anuvartade. Yadyad acharite sreshtas tat eva daro janaha sayat pramanam kurude logastat anuvartade. Yadyat ajaradi sreshtas tattat eva daro janaha sayat pramanam kurude logastat anuvartade. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation: whatever action a great man performs, common man follow, and whatever standards he sets by exemplary acts, all the world pursues. I'll repeat that again. Translation: whatever action a great man performs, common man follow, and whatever standards he sets by exemplary acts, all the world pursues. So the purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. People in general always require a leader who can teach the public by practical behavior. A leader cannot teach the public to stop smoking if he himself smokes. Lord Chaitanya said that a teacher should behave properly before he begins teaching. One who teaches in that way is called Acharya, or the ideal teacher. Therefore, a teacher must follow the principles of Shastra, scripture, to teach the common man. The teacher cannot manufacture rules against the principles of revealed scriptures. The revealed scriptures like Manu Samhita and similar others are considered the standard books to be followed by human society. Thus, the leader's teaching should be based on the principles of such standard shastras. One who desires to improve himself must follow the standard rules as they are practiced by the great teachers. The Srimad Bhagavatam also affirms that one should follow in the footsteps of great devotees, and that is the way of progress on the path of spiritual realization. The king or the executive head of a state, the father and the school teacher are all considered to be natural leaders of the innocent people in general. All such natural leaders have a great responsibility to their dependents. Therefore, they must be conversant with the standard books of moral and spiritual codes. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjanasalagaya Chakshurunmilidam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stabidam Yena Bhudale Swayam Rupa Gadamayam Dadadi Sapadandigam Vandeham Sri Gurum Sri Udabadagamalam Sri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajadam Sahagana Raghunadhanidam Dam Sajivam Sadvaidam Savadudam Parijana Sahidam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalidam Sri Vishaghanidamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpade Gobesha Gopika Kanda Radha Kanda Namostude Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanul Sude Devi Pranavami Haripriye Vancha Galpadarubhasya Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Padidanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Nityananda Avdendendur Vasuda Prana Vallabha Janava Jivida Padhi Krishna Prema Prada Prabhu Padmavadi Sudha Sriman Sajinandana Purvajaha Bhavonmatta Jagatrada Rekta Gaura Kalevaraha Om Sahana Vavadu Sahanau Bhunaktum Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinamadidastu Ma Vidushavahai Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tatsat Hari Om Tatsat. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, thank you so much. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to share and discuss what the Supreme Lord described in this chapter. This chapter is titled as Karma Yoga, Prescribed Duties. So we just recited the words of Yatat Acharati Sreshta Tattat Evataro Janaha Sayat Pramanam Kurude Logas Tat Anuvartade. Whatever action a great man performs, common man follow. And whatever standards he set by exemplary acts, all the words pursues. So this is in the context of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, revealing to Arjuna what a person is supposed to do and his prescribed duties. And especially this section is known as Nishkama Karma. And just before the verse number 20, the Lord was revealing that how King Janaka just performed his prescribed duty and he attained the supreme, he attained the liberation and a great example for all the people. So in that context, the Supreme Lord says, whatever action a great man performs, common men follow. And whatever standards he set by exemplary acts, all the words pursues. And here the theme is, it is mentioned that, so one has to dutifully acting without attachments as the correct example for others who are less advanced. So this is a great responsibility of each and every one of the devotee in this world. Because of, we know that how the world is running, and we can say that almost 99.9% of the people, they are directed or led by the wrong leaders in this world. So I remember that one of, in my native place, there was one movie star. He just walked a little bent on the left side. So some people, started to imitate him, and he just dressed and hairstyle, everything was, just like him. And they started to walk like little bent on the left side. So then he thought that, he's also like a star, it's like a movie star. So dear devotees, and if you take anything in this world, and it's misdirected or misguided in such a way that the wrong leaders, and we can see that throughout the history, that were the leaders, the so-called leaders, that they took the people in such a way that they are all into this right now in this world, in the chaos and the distress and unhappiness, and people are so much entangled into these clutches or the webs of this material nature in such a way that these leaders guide them. And we can see that in this world. So that's where the Krishna is revealing that the duty, the responsibility of a leader in such a way that they can guide the people, the all humanity in the right direction. And it's our responsibility to do. And as we can say that Srila Prabhupada always says that the simple living and the high thinking. So this is the quality of a leader that always should exhibit this simple living and high thinking. So here the theme of this verse is a leader should perform prescribed duties to set an example for others. Then we will see that what is the prescribed duties, or what are the qualities that one can follow and one can exhibit and execute so that others can follow, and also we can absorb, we can adopt in our lives so that it can help us in our life. So the theme is, and there was a great saying and it was a quote, it says that the world suffers a lot, not because of the violence of the bad people, but because of the silence of the good people. See that how important it is? The world suffers a lot, not because of the violence of a bad people, but the silence of a good people. So it's very important that we understand this fact and the concepts, that how each and everybody can become a leader. So Srila Prabhupada mentioned that everybody should become a leader, then they can guide the society in the right direction. We always pray that, please give us the intelligence so that I can lead the right direction. I can myself lead the right direction. This is the meaning of the Gayatri Mantra, especially. So the leaders always, they write things to do. So there's also another theme of it. Leaders write things to do, managers do things right. So always remember this. So as a devotee, as a leader of the society, and this is our duty, the right things to do and do things right. And always, and remember that this information is for transformation, not just that, just take it in one eye, 1 ear, and then, take it out through the other ear. So it's always transformation. And every minute we spend for this satsang, and then what happens? It should transform us. And Shankaracharya has a beautiful verse on this behalf. Satsangatve nisangatvam, nisangatve nischalatatvam, nisangatve nirmohatvam, nirmohatve nischalatatvam, nischalatatve jivan muktihi, bhaja govindam, govindam bhaja mudhamade, samprapte sannihide kale, nahi rakshadi dukkhin karane. It's very important that by the association, by hearing this transcendental subject matter, we should understand the importance of each and every word. This is a science, this is a transcendental science, which is, we are hearing from the lotus mouth of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It's not an ordinary words. So it's very important that we pay attention and it's impact us and transform us in such a way that we can have a wonderful devotional life. So let's see who is Acharya. And it says that one who teaches by example, one who practices what he preach, who follows scriptures and not by his own mental concoctions. So always Acharyas or the leader should set an example. And what Acharya means? One who Acharati Shrestha Acharya, Acharati, one who follows what he preaches and by example, teaches by his own examples. There are so many examples we can see in our scriptures, like Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Yes, of course. And then, initially was a Mayavad sannyas, but by the association of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, fully surrendered under the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and became the great Acharya. And the Gopinath Acharya, Srinivas Acharya, we can see that. The great Acharyas are there. They were just by their examples, they were showing Srila Prabhupada. shown his own example that what is devotion is not that what we say, but by the examples. So then we put ourselves in such a way that when we put ourselves in that devotional service, then only it become more beneficial. And that's why Srila Rupa Goswami compiled a beautiful book called Nectar of Devotion. So those who doesn't have this book, Nectar of Devotion, please take it and start to read it. It transforms us. And it's always acharyas always go teach us based on the principles of revealed scriptures. They does not concord their own ideas like Mayavad Sannyas. They interpret in such a way that the text. But the teacher or acharya always act and based on the principles of the revealed scriptures. And of course, in order to progress in life, one should follow great leaders and great devotees, not the bogus leaders or gurus. So it's very important that we understand this thoroughly, that we can see there are lots of bogus gurus or teachers or people pretending in so many ways. And then it's like a influence of this material web of the illusions. We think that this may be a right thing, and this may be a right thing, this may be a right thing. So, but in reality, nothing help us unless we come to an understanding of this this transcendental science. That's why Krishna is also revealing in the fourth chapter and 34th verse. It says that one who approached the spiritual master, and it says that tadvidi pranipadena pariprashnena seveya ubadeshandiye jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshinaha. Those who are the seers of truth, they have seen the truth. One should approach a spiritual master. One should approach a spiritual master and engage in devotional service submissively at the lotus feet of spiritual master. Then he can impart the transcendental knowledge because of he has seen the truth. So this is the fact, a devotee. So instead of approaching these bogus leaders and guru, one should follow the acharyas, that he always set everything by on his examples, like Srila Prabhupada and the disciples of Srila Prabhupada. So then we see that if you look around, king is the executive head or natural leader of a state, and that's usual. And king is also considered as a representative of a lord. And because of he has a big responsibility. And spiritual master is a natural leader of disciples. Teachers are natural leaders of the general public, and Srila Prabhupada mentioned this in the purport. Father is the natural leader of children. Community leader is the natural leader of the society. Departmental heads, Bhaktarisha leads, are all naturally a leader. So then, such leaders have a great responsibilities towards their dependents. So they are looking upon this leader, and this is the nature of the people. They always need a leader. They always have somebody to look upon that to follow them. Or naturally, people are imitating them, but that is not the fact. That's not correct. But follow them, so that when we follow somebody, then we should choose that whom we should follow, or which path we should follow. And then our scriptures gives a beautiful examples of such great leaders, great acharyas, that we can take shelter of such devotees. So that leaders have great responsibility towards their dependents, so that they must be conversant with the standard books of moralities and spiritual code of conducts. So they have great responsibility, so they should be equipped. They should be well versed with what they are doing, what they are teaching, what they are showing, what they are talking is all important because of there are dependents upon and looking upon them. So we can see that the examples of Rishabhadev in the 5th canto of Srimad Bhagavad-Gita and 5th chapter. Rishabhadev was an incarnation of the Supreme Lord, and the sage Nabhi and Anasuya, and the Lord appeared in the womb of Mother Anasuya, and Nabhi became the king, and we know that the Bharat Varsha and different Varshas till the Bharat Maharaj, till the Nabhi, that Rishabhadev, and this entire world is actually known as Ajnana Varsha. Ajanama Varsha, then Ilavruda Varsha. There are many Varshas were there. And then Bharat Maharaj was the son of the King Rishabhadev, or the Lord Rishabhadev, and Rishabhadev had 100 sons. And there is a beautiful passage that will beautifully, one day the Lord Rishabhadev called out all the 100 sons and then started to speak on the duty of a person, duty of a king, duty of a Kshatriya, duty of a household, duty of the the sages, and in such a way that everybody should take that teachings of Rishabhadev to his children, to his sons, 100 sons. And then we know that Bharat Maharaj then appointed as the king. Then King Rishabhadev went to the forest and for the meditations and attain the go back to Godhead. And then Bharat Maharaj ruled the kingdom, and we know that how Bharat Maharaj was an ideal king, an ideal devotee. And we know that completely, even when Bharat Maharaj was very young, and even then left everything and went to the forest. We know that the story of 3 lifetimes of Bharat Maharaj, and then Jada Bharat, and then again become then become a deer, and then again become a Jada Bharat, and the teachings to the King Raghugunas and all. So we can see these great personalities that the Lord is actually revealing this, that whom we should follow. And that's the greatness of the Srimad Bhagavatam, the greatness of the devotees and greatness of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And even Navayogendras, the 9 sages, the great sages, they were traveling all over the world. And they were the sons of Lord Rishabhadev. They were going to the Brahma Loka. They can travel anywhere. And they were traveling like that. And every places. And even there was a great, a discussion between King Nimi and the Navayogendras, and discussing about the quality of a leader, quality of a devotee, and how they should actually exhibit and execute their duties in such a way that everybody can follow. Note that the blind leads the blind. In this world, the everybody following the blind person, blind. So usually, naturally, a person follow a blind person, they can fall into the ditch. Even blind can fall into the ditch, and then the blind person gives that, making everybody a blind in this world. There is the dharmastu sakshal bhagavat pranida. Dharma, the ultimate dharma, the humanity, the dharma, the way of life is Krishna-centric, the Lord-centric, the Supreme Lord Krishna-centric. But instead of that, they are all teaching all this materialism in such a way that everybody falling into the ditch, and that we can see that in the age of Kali, and everybody is entrapped into the clutches of this material illusion that the bogus gurus and leaders teaches them. And what they teaches them, they don't believe in God. The first teaches that there is no God, so that they can become the leaders of these blinds. And there are people always there to follow them. And then they propagate so many agendas in this world. They, propagate and they teach and they tell, and so much of money and the wealth utilized in order to propagate this false agenda that there is no God. And they are blind. They are dumb. So in such a way that, but the Srimad Bhagavatam, the Amala Purana, gives us the examples and great personalities that we can follow. So we should always rely on these great personalities and the great teachers, and they are called Mahajanas. So we should always understand this, the footsteps of, and follow the footsteps of these great personalities. So why the Bhagavatam? There are so many great personalities, King Prithu, Ambarish Maharaj, and so many examples of Bharat Maharaj, and so many. And out of that, this is Yamaraj was mentioning about it. There are great personalities who are called Mahajanas. Who are those Mahajanas? It's mentioned in the scriptures. Swayambhur Narada Shambhu, Kumara Kapilo Manuhu, Prahlado Janago Bhishmo, Balir Vaisyakir Vaya. Who are they? Swayambhur. Swayambhur means Lord Brahma. We can see that throughout the scriptures, and especially in the Srimad Bhagavatam, how great the Lord Brahma is. We know that Lord Brahma is manifested as a first living entity in this universe, And as we know that from the lotus navel of Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. When Lord Brahma came from the lotus navel of Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, and then it was completely dark and manifested on the planet, in this universe. It was completely dark and couldn't see anything. And then Brahma was bewildering what to do. And then heard a sound called tapa, or penance. So Brahma did a penance for, it's mentioned that 2 million human years, 2 million human years, and the Lord appeared before Brahma, and its scripture says that, Bhagavatam says that Brahma, shook hands with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this is the Swayambhur Brahma. And what is the great quality of a Brahma that we all can adopt? The penance, the sacrifice, the penance, and the tolerance. And then by that sacrifice, by that penance, the Supreme Lord appeared before Brahma and shook hands with the Lord. And then Lord Brahma requested, what is my duty? What am I supposed to do? Then the Supreme Personality of Godhead empowered Brahma to start the creation. That's what we can see, that the Visarga part of it. There are, Sarga and Visarga, the primary creations, and the secondary creation. The Brahma is empowered with the creations, the secondary creations of this mature world. That is the, Brahma, because of the penance and the sacrifices even Brahma did for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. By that penances, Brahma purified and acquired the complete knowledge of how to create, how to start the creations. And we know that. And then from Brahma, all this progeny manifested. And by the knowledge that acquired from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Sri Krishna. And by the flute, even Gayatri, Mother Gayatri entered into the ears of the Brahma, and then later became the consort of the Brahma. That's why the Gayatri Mantra and the Saraswati, the Gayatri is the consort of Lord Brahma. The soul manifested from the Supreme Lord. So one who approaches, one who goes to the right direction, dear devotees, and take the instructions from the Lord and the gurus and the leaders and the right leaders and the spiritual masters, they can attain the perfection. They can attain the perfection. And we can see that from the Narada. Narada was earlier was a son of a maid servant. And just by the association of the Bhakti Vedantists for the Chaturmasa, 4 months, just by the association and by the permissions of the Bhakti Vedantists, and could able to eat or had an opportunity to eat the remnants of which is consumed by the Bhakti Vedantist. And that transformed Narada. And then think about that, at the age of 5, Narada's mother was actually bitten by a snake and passed away. And Narada took this as an opportunity. So see that we are looking at the quality of a leader, great personalities. Narada took this as an opportunity to attain the Supreme. And what would we do if in that case? We would, so many other ideas, control ideas, and would be bewildered and completely. But Narada at the age of 5 even took the shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Srimad Bhagavatam explains, Narada left the home. Narada left the home and passed through the different cities and the mine places and the rich places and so many peoples and so many states and countries and so many fields, and then walked towards the northern region, and nothing affected to the Narada. Because of Narada could be in any places like cities or in rich places of the mines and the fields and so many places. None of those things are affected or impacted Narada because of that determination and the devotion to the Supreme Lord. And Narada came to the region of the north that time, and by this penance, by this determination and the sacrifice of Narada, and then Narada could hear the voice from in the sky, and Narada heard that, "Oh Narada, I am very pleased with you, and in this life, and you will attain, bhakti, but definitely you will attain me on the next birth." And that is the next birth that Narada attained the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and Narada travels in the space and then became the son of Brahmadev. And we can imagine that because of that Narada, that determination. So the great personalities, great leaders have such a determination, such a way that they can, attain the Supreme and the Supreme Lord. And they took that step of that determination to attain the Supreme Lord. So this is another great quality of Mahajan, and that's why Narada became Mahajan and the great devotee. And we know that throughout the scriptures that there are lots of great personalities. Even the Narada became the spiritual master of many great devotees. Even Valmiki, even the even Mrgari, even great personalities. There are so many people, those who are even into the very lowest stage. They are all transformed even by the association of just a matter of minutes of association of Narada Dev. They all became the great devotees. And we can see that the Shambhu, even Shambhu also manifested from the Supreme Lord. Even though the potency of the Supreme Lord later came into this world and became the Shiva from the forehead of the Brahmadev. And we know that Shambhu, and the scripture says that Vaishnavanam Yada Shambhu. And we know that the Shambhu, how he's always meditating upon the Supreme Lord, Sri Sangarshana, and he always meditating upon the Supreme. And Vaishnavanam Yada Shambhu in the Brahma Samhita says that is the topmost devotee of the Lord. And they are the great personalities. They can do so many other things, but they don't do anything else but understand the fact, understand the transcendental science, and this is the perfection, this is the perfect things to do. And they are all engaging. They are all, all engaging in the loving devotional service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And we know that when Krishna in Gokul, when Krishna manifested, appeared in the Gokul, the same Shambhu came down onto the earth, and just to see that the beautiful form of Balagopal. But Mother Yashoda was just prohibiting to see that this sage in the Shiva disguised in the form of a sage, and came to the Gokul just to see that the Balagopal form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They all take such an effort for the devotional services, and by the determination and the devotion, and they became the great Mahajanas. Then Kumaras, 4 Kumaras, they are also sons of Brahma. And then immediately the Brahma manifested. After that, the Kumaras appeared from Brahma, 4 Kumaras. They are just 5 years old. And then what happened? Brahma instructed, okay, you've been born here and you start your progeny, and that's your duty, that's your, the kartavya and duty. So these 4 Kumaras said, oh Lord, we take and we hear this, your instructions, that what we're supposed to do, but we think that, we have a higher purpose. So we have a higher purpose of worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And they just immediately left the place, and Brahma became angry. That's why Shiva, manifested as Rudra. And they just left, and they took the vows of celibacy. They took the vows of celibacy. And why they are called as Mahajan? Because they are highly determined for the service of the Lord. They engaged in the devotional service of the Lord. And then we know that later they went into the Vaikunta. They went into the Vaikunta, but the Jaya and Vijaya stopped them. And then Lord appeared before them. Lord appeared before them, and here at this time, even, Lord was, chastising the Jaya and Vijaya and saying that, how can you stop my devotees on the entrance of my abode? And then Kumaras were cursed even for the Jaya and Vijaya. And then this is the time that the Kumaras were smelling the tulasi leaves, which is offered at the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. And they smell that just the tulasi leaves, they completely transformed, and they fall flat at the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, and seeing that the personal aspect of the Supreme Lord, and they completely became the Bhakti Yogis. Initially they were Brahmavadis, and they became completely the Bhakti Yogis and the devotees of the Supreme Lord, and they became the great personalities known as Kumara. 4 Kumaras. Sananda, Sanadana, Sanaga, Sananda, Sanadana, and Sanal Kumaras. These 4 Kumaras, they have a name. And we know that the Kapila, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And we can see that on the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, the 28 chapters to the 31st chapters, the teachings of Lord Kapila. And it's a beautiful verse. And whom that Lord Kapila is teaching to? His own mother, Mother Devahudi. And Devahudi realized that this is none other than the Supreme Lord. And Kardama Muni and Devahudi had 9 daughters, and then 9 daughters were married to the 9 sages. But then finally, then the Lord appeared before them. That is Lord Kapila. And Lord Kapila's instruction is so beautiful in the Srimad Bhagavatam, and it gives us what is devotional service, and teachings of Lord Kapila shows that what is devotional service. And because of that, Lord Kapila also became the great Mahajana or great personalities. And then we know that Swayambhuva Manu also manifested from the right part of the body of Brahma, and also Lord manifested Shatarupa. And these 2 personalities were the Manus, the Swayambhuva Manu in the Padma Kalpa at the beginning of the Brahmas. And then Brahma was requesting to the Swayambhuva Manu, you should engage in the prescribed duty of creating the progeny in this world. And that is, we are called Manus or Manavas. We are called Manushyas or Manavas because of we are all the subjects of, inhabitants of Manu. We are from the progeny of Manu and Shatarupa. And what Brahma requested to Manu? That engage into this service and to guide and protect the people in the Krishna consciousness, so that they all can attain the Supreme Lord. Dear devotees, this is the leadership. This is the quality of a leader. And here Brahma is requesting to the Swayambhuva Manu that please engage into this prescribed duty of creating the progenies and make them all the Krishna conscious, and they can attain the Supreme Lord. So this is the quality of a Mahajana. So Swayambhuva Manu did that. Swayambhuva Manu, then the daughter of Swayambhuva Manu was Devahudi, and then Swayambhuva Manu and Shatarupa, married to Devahudi to Kardama Muni, was a great devotee of the Lord. And from them the Lord Kapila manifest and likes that. So Manu is also a great personality. So why I am mentioning here? Because of they are Mahajanas, the scriptures referring they are the great personalities, then we can adopt their qualities, and so that we all can become the great leaders or great personalities or great devotees in this world. So then Prahlad, everybody knows that the complete the life of Prahlad Maharaj. Even at the mother's womb, by the mercy of Narada, Prahlad became the great devotee of the Lord. And even Prahlad, born in a demoniac family, and the father was Hiranyakashipu, who was completely against the Vishnu, and he wanted to kill Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In that clan, in that son of Hiranyakashipu, Prahlad Maharaj became greatest devotee ever we have. And we know that many, many times even the Hiranyakashipu has tried to kill Prahlad Maharaj, but the bhakti, the devotion, the determination, that the one point focused the devotion to the Supreme, such a faith in the Supreme Lord, nothing can affect the Prahlad Maharaj. And every time the Lord was protecting Prahlad Maharaj. And even in front of the eyes of the Prahlad Maharaj, Hiranyakashipu was killed. And we can imagine Srila Prabhupada mentioning that even any other people in front of their eyes, their father is killed, they would oppose, they would do something. But here Prahlad Maharaj knew that what is happening, but Hiranyakashipu was getting liberating. Not only that killing, but Hiranyakashipu was getting liberated, and that's what is Prahlad Maharaj. When Prahlad, when Narasimhadev asked Prahlad Maharaj, what boon you need? What boon you need? Prahlad Maharaj said that, oh, no, Lord, I am worshipping you not because of you. That's all I need. But if I take anything from you in return, that is like a business. Said, dear devotees, this is the great leadership qualities. And the leader here in this world, people are looking at what I can get from anything that if I do. Even if I do in the temple, I do what I am going to get. It is all self-centric. This is not devotion. This is not the quality of a leader that one can follow, one can take. He is selfless. He's a selfless devotee. A selfless person can, change transform this world, like Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada at the age of 69 crossed this ocean for over a, month on the voyage. It's not even a regular ship, but it's a cargo ship. And we can imagine that 3 times Srila Prabhupada had to go through the heart attacks. And then Srila Prabhupada finally reached the Boston Harbor, and Srila Prabhupada was saying that I didn't know that whether to go to the right or left. But Srila Prabhupada had such a determination and faith in the Supreme Lord, and Srila Prabhupada was writing in that, oh Lord, you know that you have some purpose for me. That's why you brought me here in this country, in this world. This is the determination and faith in the Supreme Lord, and this is not a business. So anything that which great personalities, they perform, they do, and this whole teachings for us, dear devotees. And then Janaka Maharaj, and we just came to know that we just, the 20th verse of this chapter, and Lord is revealing the examples of Janaka Maharaj. He was executing his prescribed duty with the attention, with the devotion to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Even everybody was even respecting the Janaka Maharaj. Great respect to Janaka Maharaj was getting from all the corners of the world. And even when Bharat Maharaj, and when the Bharat, King Bharat, and the brother of Lord Ramachandra, and then Lord Ramachandra, by the orders of Mother Kaiye, he had to go through the exile in the forest for 14 years. That time, they thought that Bharat Maharaj became the king, but later Bharat Maharaj came to know that, and this all ordeal happens, and Bharat Maharaj went into the forest, and there, then Bharat Maharaj was requesting Lord Ram to come back into the Ayodhya and take the crown. And then, yes, you already went to the forest. That's good enough that you went to the forest. You can come back. And 14 years, it's like a concern because of, and Mother Kaiye is repenting now. And they all came. Even Mother Kaiye even came to the forest on the there to request Lord Ram to come back. That time Lord Ram even requesting to Jana Maharaj give a proper opinion that what should I do, and this is called Dharma Sangat. Dharma Sangat, when elders are requesting something and Lord Ram in that kind of Dharma Sangat, and then Lord Ram even requesting and to King Janaka Maharaj, even Janaka Maharaj came to that point. What should I do? And what Janaka Maharaj did? Janaka Maharaj requested and consulted and talked to Lord Ram and Bharat, and Janaka Maharaj was supporting and sanctioning the will of Lord Ram that I should follow the instructions of my father and mother, that I should complete this 14 years of exile. And even Janaka Maharaj, these dear devotees, and they stood for the right thing, and they stood for Dharma, the way of that, the right that which helps to everybody, the entire humanity. And we can see that during this exile of Lord Ram, how Lord Ram transformed this world and killing all this Tadaga and all the demonic demons on the Dandakaranya forest, and how killed the Ravana. And this is what it is. So, Yatat Acharati Sreshta, that means a great leader, what he performs. We may think that this is not good, this is not right, but eventually the results is going to become the wonderful and the perfect. And we know that the Bhishmadev took a vow in such a way that he's also a great personality in such a way that, and he entirely, and he had such a, and he got a boon of that, he can Ichamurti, he can die, whenever he wished to die. And we can see that even at the time of death, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, came before Bhishmadev. And Bhishmadev was glorifying the Supreme Lord, and that glorification is known as Sahasranam or Vishnu Sahasranam. Even Vyasadeva was present there. All the demigods were present there. Even Lord Shiva was present there. The Supreme Lord Sri Krishna was present there before the Bhishmadev. And Bhishmadev was glorifying the Supreme Lord in such a way that it went up to 1.5 days and just continuously glorifying the Supreme Lord. That is what is later compiled as Vishnu Sahasranam, each and every attribute and the characteristics of the Lord. And Bhishmadev was describing and explaining and glorifying and shedding the tears and looking at the Supreme Lord. And at that moment, even Bhishmadev, just leave the world and, entered into the Supreme Lord. And look at that. and such a devotion to the Supreme Lord and determination to the Supreme Lord. And these are the great qualities of great personalities, dear devotees. And Belir, and we know that everything is surrendered unto the Supreme Lord, Bali. And Sukadev Goswami, and due to the time, I'm just rushing a little bit. Bali Maharaj, everything, Samarpan, he was completely surrendered unto the Supreme Lord. Even though Shukracharya is our spiritual master, and we can see that Shukracharya was even obstructing the Bali, and this is Lord Vishnu. And Bali Maharaj was even into the demoniac, the family, the king of demons. But as soon as realized that this is none other than the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Bali Maharaj surrendered everything to the Supreme Lord. And that Supreme Lord then later became the gatekeeper of Bali Maharaj in the Padala Loka, in the Shutala Loka, and became the gatekeeper because of the Bali Maharaj surrendered everything to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and rejected the bogus Guru. And this is what it is, the quality of a leader, and that we can say that. Then Sukadev Goswami, and completely transformed and recited the Srimad Bhagavatam, the glories of the Supreme Lord, to the Parishit Maharaj and the entire world. And the Yamaraj, Vaya means Yamaraj, he is also a Mahajan, and he is the son of the sun god Yama and sun god Vivaswan. And he was very religious and honest since beginning, and then later he became the authority of the death, and one who takes away everything and checks that the sins and then punish, and he got an authority. So here we can see in such a way that there are great personalities that we have to follow and adopt, so that we can also take such a step in our life and become the great qualities and the great leaders. And there are so many instances that qualities of a Mahajana, Srila Prabhupada gives in wonderful discourses on this topic. And Mahajana says, and Srila Prabhupada says, who is Mahajana? The quality of a Mahajana, one who follows the Parampara system. Evam Parampara Praptam Imam Rajashriyo Vidum Sagalana Mahana Yoga Nashta Parandaba, one who follows the disciplic succession and one who follows the footsteps of the great personalities. And as we know that we are Brahma Madhava Gaudiya Sampradaya, we start from the Brahma. A great devotee, a great leader should follow this footsteps, this Sampradaya, and that it comes to us, Srila Prabhupada. We know that at the beginning of Bhagavad-Gita, there are many, the disciplic succession which is written, and it came up to the Srila Prabhupada, and as we know that we are the Brahma Madhava Gaudiya Sampradaya, and Srila Prabhupada mentioned that. So one should follow the disciplic succession. We should always remember this. And then Mahajana means who knows Krishna. And we know that Brahma compiled the beautiful Brahma Samhita, and Brahma knew this is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As we proclaim as devotees of our leader, we should thoroughly know who is the Supreme Lord. The Krishna, Ishvara, Parama Krishna, Sachidananda Vigraha, Anadir Adir Govinda, Sarva Karana Karana. And Krishna reveals this in the 9th chapter and 10th chapter. Aham Sarvasya Prabhavo Matha Sarvam Pravartade Matva Bhajantema. Bhuda Bhava Samannidaha. Lord is revealing in such a way that, and one should know that who is the Supreme Lord, so that we do not misguided and misdirect the people in this world. And we can see that there are so many gods and goddesses in this world. There are so many religious sampradayas and the systems and faith and the cult and so many ways. And innumerable, we can, there are the people believes in so many ways. And even I was reading that in Rajasthan, there is a temple for bullet. And people are worshipping the bullet. And they think that this is, if you worship the bullet, this is the Lord, we get liberation, we get everything. And this is the plan. There are, temples for even for the spiders. Temples for rat. There are so many ways. There are so much of they don't know who is the Supreme Lord, and this is the quality, and this is the need, and that of each leader has to adopt this, that they should understand the Supreme Lord completely. So we have the scriptures like Srimad Bhagavatam and Brahma Samhita. So many wonderful scriptures we have, and one should thoroughly know that. So then only we can says that the Acharya Sreshta, that means one who teaches by example, one who is well versed with the scriptures, so that we can become the Mahajana. Mahajana means those who are authorized person by the God. As it's mentioned that king is an authorized person, a father is an authorized person. And even olden time, even the in Roman Empire, and there was an authority that even a father can punish. A father can punish if there is a wrongdoings. There is no problem. There is no case against such fathers because of they do it for the right purpose. So the Mahatma means those who are authorized. So we all have that authority. We all devotees, as Srila Prabhupada says, that we all have an adhikar. Authority means there is an adhikar. The devotee, those who are in the Kanishta adhikar, is called adhikari. We said it's in the adhika, Kanishta adhikari, the beginning, but still he also has some authority that he is taking as a step of a devotional service, chanting of the holy name. Naturally, he get this adhikar to preach and to teach and teach by example, so that we should be always know that he is authorized by the Lord. So we should have this great responsibility because of Lord is authorized these personalities, and that's why it's nothing happens without the will of the Lord, dear devotees. Everything happens according to the will of the Lord, and anything that in this world, and this is a great, very, very clear that. So we should take that step off and understand this. Devotees means, or great personality means, they are authorized by the Supreme Lord. Mahajana means then authority, as it's mentioned that. And there are so many examples out there we can say that. So then Mahajana means follow the mission. And Srila Prabhupada established this mission of ISKCON of in International Society for Krishna Consciousness. And we should follow that mission. There is a mission statement for the ISKCON. And what is that mission statement? One should always follow through the scriptural injunctions which is mentioned, and we should always follow the 7 principles of ISKCON. It is there. I'm not getting into that due to the time. And what it is mentioned that mission means, and the preaching, and the primary and the foremost mission of this movement is to preach this Krishna consciousness to all the world, so that the world become wonderful. Otherwise, the chaos and the calamities and the abominable activities, and people are leading the blind and falling into the ditch and the great well, Andhakupa. Prahlad Maharaj says that people are falling into this Andhakupa, the dark well on this world. And Mahajana means follow the great authorities. So like Rupa Goswami. And we know that, this is the greatest, the example of a great devotee or a great leader that should follow the great authorities like Srila Rupa Goswami. And we are known as Rupanugas, and we are known as Gaurangas. Why we are known as Rupanugas? Because we are following the instructions of Srila Rupa Goswami. That's why we have the nectar of instruction. And in the nectar of instruction, Srila Rupa Goswami gives us such a beautiful ways that one who can become the leader, who can become the spiritual master, that one who can teach by examples, lead by examples. And the first words of the nectar of instruction is nothing but is actually the Vacho Vegam Manasa Krodha Vegam Jihva Vegam Utare Upasta Vegam Edan Vegan Vishaheda Dhira Sarvam Abhimam Prithvim Sashikshayed. And Srila Rupa Goswami says this, Vacho Vegam, one has to control their speech. Otherwise, what we can say that when they unnecessarily talk, that we are inviting the trouble. And Srila Prabhupada always says that a person, we can understand a person, how this person immediately, as soon as he opened his mouth, we can immediately understand what kind of a person it is. Because of that he unnecessarily talks, he does not know what to speak. But the leader should be very capable enough and capable to know that, control their speech, vacho, walk, watch, and what they are supposed to speak. And we can speak unnecessarily into this, so many things we can speak into this mundane material. There are the deficiency for that. But here, Sri Rupa Goswami gives us such a beautiful instruction that how one can become a leader or one can become a spiritual master, and telling this, Vacho Vegam, one has to check his speech in all respect, what he is speaking. And there are so many people, Prajalpa. And Sri Rupa Goswami also in the next 2 words also mentioning Prajalpa Niyamagriha, unnecessary, unwanted talks in this world, and that invite troubles and the problems. And we can see that in this world, even great leaders talk in this way, and that leads to the great wars and the missiles, and they're testing the missiles for and trying to prepare the war for each other and trying to kill each other. Why? Because they don't know how to talk, first of all. And this is the problem, and their devotees, and we can see that every day in day-to-day life, even our life, and just the most of the problems of the family life occurs because of their tongue. They don't know how to control their speech, and it just come out, it's broke out, and it's completely spoiled the relationship of the even family within the husband and wife. All this can be checked. And this is a great lesson for all of us. And Srila Rupa Goswami says that we should always check our speech, what we are speaking. Vacho Vegam. We should control our mind. And we know that, I'm not getting into detail of it, the mind, how the mind is actually taking each and every one of us in this darkest side of this, our life, the mind. And one who doesn't check the mind, it is the worst enemy, Sri Krishna, Supreme Lord, is revealing into the 7th chapter. One who is not controlled his mind is the worst enemy. And one who is controlled his mind is the greatest friend and foe and friend, the same mind. And I'm not getting into it too much. But we should be always check our mind. What is our mind? By words or my mind and by body. And one has to check all this. And they are called Tridandi sannyasis. And we all know that, when a sannyasi they got initiation, he get a danda, 3 danda. What is that danda means? There are 3 dandas. That 3 danda means by the mind, by the word, and by the body, always worship, always engage in the Supreme Lord. No unnecessary, unwanted things, and even he cannot think in his mind. And even thinking against anything that which is not, dovetail, which is not conducive for the devotional service, it incurs sins as well. And this is the great, this is the fact. So Vacho Vegam Manasa Krodha, we know that how the Krodha is manifesting the anger. While contemplating the object of senses, a person develops attachment. From the attachment, lust arises. From the lust, anger arises. This is all the verbs of this material verbs, that illusion which ties together in this material world, dear devotees, doesn't help. But, Srila Rupa Goswami is revealing this great topic that, and giving us this instruction, one should control his speeches, control his mind, and control his manasa krodha, the anger. And how can a leader become, if he is so angry towards his dependents, how can he become a leader? He has to be tolerant. He has to be, Srila Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that, Trinadapi sunichena tadoriva sagushmana amanina manadena kirtaniya sadahari. He should be tolerant than the blade of a grass. He was humble than a blade of grass and tolerant than a tree. Has to be always a tolerant. And one who is tolerant, they can win the world. One who is humbler, they can win the world. And one who says that I'm a leader, if he doesn't have this quality of humility, and he is not a leader anymore. Because of this, the basic quality, the foundational quality of a leader that one can show to the others. And if he doesn't show this by own example, how we can teach and preach? So it's not possible. So dear devotees, this quality Srila Rupa Goswami mentioned. So that's why, Krodha Vegam, Jihva Vegam, the tongue, the eating habits, Udara Ubasta Vegam, the genitals and the belly, and Atyahara Prayasacha, Prajalpa, Dhyamagra, Atyahara. We are all kind of like some people are in this world, they are living just to eat. And usually we have to eat for the life. But the people are here in this world, some people we can say they're just living to eat. So then what happens? All this endeavor, all this atya, adi, over endeavor, overeating, and this is the problems, most of the problems of this world because of the diseases and all this chronic disease just by their eating habits. And there's all illicit activities, all these genitals, the belly and the tongue all in one direction. And Srila Prabhupada says that if you are able to control our tongue, we can control our belly naturally, and even that can control our genitals. So it won't, take us into the illicit or unwanted activities. So these instructions are very important so that we all can perform, we can adapt and practice, so that we all can become a devotee or a responsible servants of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So these are the great qualities. I think it's getting time, so I'm just going further. This as Srila Rupa Goswami says that. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also gives us such a beautiful, wonderful instructions. That's called instruction. Shastakam, the 8 instructions of the 8 instructions for the devotees to follow. And in the Srila Prabhupada write this: for those who are decided to continue their existence in this material world for the gratification of their senses, there is no chance of becoming Krishna conscious. Not by personal endeavor, by instruction from others, or by joint conferences. They are dragged by the unbridled senses into the darkest region of ignorance, and thus they made engage in what is called chewing the chewed or charvida charvanam. And they are repeated birth again and again in this world, sometimes suffering in this world in such a way that nobody can even imagine that what suffering they go through. And Srila Prabhupada writes, because the so-called great leaders of the human society are ignorant of this great knowledge of Bhakti Yoga and are always engaged in the ignoble acts of sense gratification, bewildered by the external energy of the Lord, they are stubborn rebels against the supremacy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and they never agree to surrender unto Him because they are fools, miscreants, and the lowest type of human beings. Such faithless non-believers may be highly educated in the material senses of the term, but factually they are the greatest fools of the world, because by the influence of the external material nature, all their so-called acquisition of knowledge has been made null and void. Therefore, all advancement of knowledge in the present context of things is being misused by cats and the dogs fighting with one another for sense gratification, and all acquisition of knowledge in science, philosophy, fine arts, nationalism, economic development, religion, and great activities are being spoiled by being used as a dress of a dread man. What a powerful statement by Srila Prabhupada, and showing and giving the example of these people, those who are misguided and misdirected and fall into the trap of this material illusion and the hands of the this so-called leaders. And then Srila Prabhupada says the Bhagavad openly declares that although a person may be a great leader of such dogs and hogs disguised as men, if he has no taste for being enlightened in the science of Krishna, such a leader is also an animal and nothing more. He may be designated as powerful, strong animal or a big animal, but in the estimation of Srimad Bhagavatam, he is never given a place in the category of a man. See, look at that. What a powerful statement. Even he is not in the category of a man on account of his atheistic temperament. Or in other words, such godless leaders of the dogs and hogs like men are bigger animals with the qualities of animals in greater proportion. What a powerful statement from a pure devotee. And this is the reality and this is the fact. And if you look at around in this world, and then, Srila Prabhupada finally mentioning that, how we should, leaders, this is the great quality of, another great quality of a devotee is that we should cooperate to operate, and we should follow the Mahajana, another quality of Mahajana, that we should follow the another Mahajana. I was listening this one of the lecture of Dhanudhara Maharaj. Dhanudhara Maharaj was mentioning that in Vrindavan, when there was an announcement, there was a service needs to be performed in that assembly. There was an 89-year-old devotee was sitting in the assembly in that devotee association. This 89-year-old, that old person, he couldn't even walk properly. He's bending down and walking. And then Dhanudhara Maharaj was saying that immediately he got this announcement from this great devotee that there is some service to be performed. This old person, the great devotee, he just got up and then started to walk towards that service area. Then devotees asked, where are you going? So this great devotee mentioned that, yes, I'm going, I'm honoring that, I'm going to do that service, because we have to honor the words of the devotee, another devotee. Otherwise, what is the use of I'm saying that I'm a devotee, I'm a servant? So everybody just surprised and, just wondered that the devotion that he has, still 89-year-old, he couldn't even walk properly. And he is going to do the service for that. And this is the great devotee and quality of a devotee. Always great devotees that we follow another devotee. We always take and not imitating, but the follow the great personalities and another devotee. And the pure devotee always thinks that I'm not a devotee, but everybody else is a devotee. That's the quality of an Uttama Adhikari or a pure devotee. But on the beginning, one who thinks that, when he does something, that he has this ego of that I'm a great devotee and everybody else is not a devotee. But that's not a pure quality. That's in the beginning stage. But by the devotion, by follow the footsteps of great acharyas, we can come to that state that, we all will feel that, yes, if I'm a devotee, I'm not a devotee. We say that I'm not a devotee. Everybody else is a devotee. And that's also another great quality of a devotee. And here Srila Prabhupada gives a beautiful analogy that gives that. One day, a father called all his children. And this father is very old. And the father needed a massage. Now he called all his children, and they came and they started to massaging his father. And then what happens? Then in meantime, they started to quarrel each other, and they started to fight each other, and they were hitting the old man's his father's body, and one after another. And this father requested, "Why are you quarreling? And why are you fighting each other? And then you are fighting each other, and you are hitting my body, and I am dying here." And so, dear devotees, it's a great lesson and great. On the 20th February, Srila Prabhupada put this. And what Srila Prabhupada mentioned, what Srila Prabhupada was meant by it, and we should, all the leaders or the devotees should always respect and cooperate each other. Otherwise, what is going to happen if we fight each other and not cooperating each other, and small things and ego and that the name, fame, and the pradishta and puja, and because of all, then if we are not Krishna Sundari, if we are not in the devotional platform, not a devotee, and acting like a materialist man fighting each other, then we are really killing our father. So like Srila Prabhupada said that, and we are killing Srila Prabhupada. We are doing great harm to our institution, and that with the great efforts, great endeavor, Srila Prabhupada, brought up this to the world for the benefit of the humanity, for the best of the humanity, and it's always that a great lesson for a leader or a great devotee, that one who is always has that to claim or was to progress in the bhakti and the spiritual life. He has to have this cooperate and tolerance and the forgiveness, and then humility, and always respect, and never return any expect anything returned back, but always ready to serve. And this is the great quality of a devotee, that always should ask for it. And if anything comes, dear devotees, that how can I serve you? How can I serve you? How can I serve you? This is a service. That's why we take this of title of dasa. How can I serve you? And we should always ask that, everybody else is a devotee, and if I don't serve, and there is a beautiful story out there, and because of the time I'm not getting into it, and it's a beautiful, and so how can I serve? And we always take that step of that I'm not a devotee, but I'm a servant. So this is the teachings, dear devotees, that one can progress, and one can at the acharya this shrestha. This is called shrestha, great. Great means Sreshta means great. How can one become great? And this is the way one can become great devotee, great leader, and acting with the responsibility, with authority, with the devotion and humility, and all this is mentioned. So with this note, I would conclude here. Thank you so much for this opportunity, and Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So I'm sorry that I just went a little ahead with 6 minutes. Sorry for that. And let me see if there is any comments or any questions or concerns. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. This was a wonderful power pack session. I'm just stunned with the delivery. You gave so much of information in such a small time. That has to be a special mercy of Prabhupada, Guru, and Parampara. You are a very realized soul for us, and thank you for giving your energy here. And I'm sure that all the devotees are benefited with this. And if not, then this recording will also be available on the website. So please see that. If you need to refer the context again. It's a wonderful, wonderful class in the topic of.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Proji. Thank you so much. I mean, yes. I mean, I just went a little over, and yeah. Thank you. Sorry for that.
No worries. It's our great fortune that we got all this information in such a short period of time, and I'm sure that some devotees may have questions as well for clarification. So please have your questions ready. In the meantime, I'll just give a short introduction or overview of our programs we conduct here at ISKCON of Bergen, and I'll just take like 30 seconds detour here. And in the meantime, I request that all the devotees can collect their questions, and we can go through with the short round the table questions about it. I'll just share my screen for the the topics. Give me just one more second. I lost my focus. So at ISKCON of Bergen, we do this Sunday program, and on Wednesdays we do the Wednesday Sangha. And this time we are having a very special class by His Grace Sarvana Das, and he is the preacher in Russia, and he's gonna tell the story, which is like true story about the titled as Salted Bread. Actually, there is a movie on it, and we are planning to play that tomorrow, 8:30 p.m. So those who are interested, join this Zoom, and we'll be like having a movie time, all the devotees. So in the pretext of this Wednesday Sangha, have a movie session tomorrow. Tomorrow is a long weekend, so it's an off day for many of the people. And if otherwise you can make the time out, 8:30, it's about like 45 minutes to 50 minutes movie. So you can have a good Sangha tomorrow. And in addition, we do conduct other programs like Bhakti Vriksha on Fridays. Any of you not in any of the Bhakti Vriksha part? Bhakti Vriksha is a little Sangha with a close association of a smaller gathering where you can have more question and answers and advance in spiritual realizations. So join if you are interested or not part of any of the Bhakti Vriksha. I encourage you to join them. There's a link there, our ISKCON.org. Go to the website, join us, and put your information. One of us will contact you to link with the right group. We do the morning meditation, japa meditation every day, 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. And it's another way of stay fixed in spiritual sadhana. We do Bhagavad-Gita reading in the midday session, 12 to 12, 15 minutes reading. Feel free to join on the same Zoom. With that, I think I'll just switch over to the question answers. And let me see. So I hear that a few of the devotees are already sending the acknowledgement of the richness of the class. So just passing that comments from the other devotees. Thank you so much. And devotees, please raise your hand so I can address your questions. In the meantime, one more announcement I missed. On 17th of March, we are reopening the center. On 6th of March, we are reopening the center in person. And God Purnima is on 17th of March, which is not very far. So I'd like to encourage. God Purnima is, I think most of us knows here, God Purnima is one of our prime festivals of the two, Janmashtami and God Purnima is the main two functions we do in ISKCON community. So we wish that we can do more grand celebration, and we will do our best, but request your help and participation on 17th of March. So please try to participate with your full whatever resources you can do. And this year we are also making a drive of the Chaitanya Charitamrita, which is the narrations of pastimes of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, written by Kaviraj Goswami. It's very beautiful narrations, and I would encourage everybody to have a copy of Chaitanya Charitamrita. It's just $108, not a big deal, and I'll be very happy to deliver it to your door as soon as possible. So reach any one of us on the group, and we'll help you to get the copy of Chaitanya Charitamrita as well. With that, Oh, Ekadasi is on next Saturday. So yeah, next Saturday is Ekadasi. Fast from beans and the grains. All right. So Abhay, you are ready now. Question from Abhay. Please go ahead.
Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare
Thank you
Krishna.
for this wonderful class. It was truly, as Gopal Prabhuji has said, it was truly impactful. And I just had a question when you brought up when you have true devotion to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and you know who the Supreme Personality of Godhead is, and we know that it's Krishna. But I've seen so many devotees who actually devote their lives to Lord Shiva or Lord Ganapati or Lord Hanuman. Mostly for Lord Shiva, I notice there's a lot of devotees, and I'm very confused because there's so many pastimes of Lord Shiva that actually they also bring up that Lord Shiva is considered Adi Guru, and there's so many qualities that he expresses that makes him the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and not Lord Krishna or not Lord Vishnu. So how do I actually? I mean, how can I actually think of it in a way that they're actually non-different? Because it is said in the scriptures that also they're considered non-different, but it's actually the mood that actually differentiates them. That makes Lord Krishna the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So can you just please elaborate on that, Prabhuji?
Yes, that's a wonderful question. Thank you, Abhay. Yes, are you able to hear?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. Yeah, just checking. Yes, that's a wonderful question. Yes, we have lots of. This is another thoughts of that. Since beginning, it's not started now. Since beginning, there is a Puran called Shiva Purana, and there is also a Sampradaya called Rudra Sampradaya. Rudra Sampradaya means actually Lord Shiva. These are the Vaishnava Sampradayas again. There are 4 Sampradayas. There are Kumara Sampradaya, Brahma Sampradaya, Sri Sampradaya, and Rudra Sampradaya. And Nikamba Swami and Vishnu Swami, all those are in the part of proponents of this Rudra Sampradaya. So also there is a Shiva Purana. Out of 18 Puranas, there are also a Purana called Shiva Purana, which is actually mentioning that Shiva is the supreme, Shiva is the greatest, or Adi Yogi, likes that, and Shiva is the everything. But our scripture says that, Egam Vigari Yogas, it's actually mentioned like this way, and I forgot that the verses of that in Brahma Samhita is mentioned that the milk and the yogurt. So the yogurt come from the milk, and the milk touched by an acid, and then it transforms as a yogurt. So, but the touched by an acid, so it's a catalyst or a milk touched by a catalyst or an acid, then it transforms to a yogurt. So it's manifested from the milk and it's transformed to a yogurt, but actually it is the same potency of the Supreme Lord. So let me give you some background of it. In the spiritual realm, in the spiritual world, the Shiva is known as Shambhu, or we call it as the Sadashiv or Sadashiv. Sadashiv means the Lord Shiva's highest form into the Vaikuntha planet. It's not just Vaikuntha, just below the Vaikuntha planet. Same Sadashiva also engage into the devotional activities or engage into the as a Gopa, and Shiva wanted to engage into the pastimes of the Lord Krishna, and he actually and this even goes to the Golok Vrindavan and transform as a Gopa and engage into the personal service to the Supreme Lord, and there is a name for the Gopa. I just forgot that. And then that Gopa, that's the highest form of a person can enter. Highest realm is actually Golok Vrindavan, is the highest spiritual realm. Then Vaikuntha is actually, yes, there is no anxieties, but in the spiritual realm, below that Vaikuntha planet is called Sadashiv, whose abode is into this Vaikuntha. And then that same Sadashiva is actually then further manifest as Shambhu. And how Shambhu is manifest? That when Mahavishnu, and it is initially known as Prakriti and Pradhan, when this material nature is actually also called unmanifested nature, and it's not manifested yet, and it's called unmanifested, it's called Pradhan. When there is a glance of the Supreme Lord, Mahavishnu, then glance on this Pradhan, and that's why it's become visible, and it's became Prakriti. So then there is a hue from the eyes of the Mahavishnu, and for that time the hue comes out from the between the eyebrows, and that's where the Shambhu is manifesting. And it's not even Mahavishnu is directly touching with the material world. This is what it is actually mentioned: the milk touched by a catalyst, or used by an acid. So this acid is actually considered as this material nature. So Lord Vishnu, even he's completely spiritual in one sense, he does nothing to do with the material nature. So in order to have this creation from the hue, the eyes of the Mahavishnu, there is a hue, there is a light which manifested. This is mentioned that in the Brahma Samhita is known as Shambhu. Shambhu is manifested as the portion of Mahavishnu, is not Mahavishnu, but as a milk touched by this material nature, and it's become the Shambhu. And that Shambhu is actually manifest to the Uma, that's a material nature, or it's called Durga or Uma. And that's where actually that there is a concept of Shiva Linga, and all is actually Shiva Linga is nothing but a Shambhu, the original potency of Mahavishnu. That Mahavishnu then manifests and touch with this material world. That's where the Prakriti, the living entity, started to manifest, and Prakriti manifest, and from the unmanifested, from the Pradhan to the Prakriti. And then further, when Brahma comes, then Shambhu then become manifest in the eyebrows, between the eyebrows of Brahma, and then become the Rudra. And that Rudra is actually initially very furious, that's called Rudra. But then by the request of Brahma, this Rudra became very peaceful, and then he sat and meditated upon the Lord Sankarsana. So in one sense, this is none other than the supreme potency, the supreme Lord. But Sadashiva, or there is a specific principle that is called Shiva Tattva. And this is the Shiva Tattva. He is not the Supreme Lord, but at the same time he is also a Supreme Lord. So from the Supreme Lord, from the Rudra, from the Shiva, then also he is the in charge of the annihilation. And the time of annihilation, in Mahapralaya, when the entire world at the time of the Brahma's day ends, that time this whole world has to annihilate. That time Lord Sankarsana is, Lord Shiva is always meditate upon Lord Sankarsana and meditating upon Lord Sankarsana. So each and every planet is actually situated on the hoods of the Sankarsana, who is in the form of Ananda Shesha. That's why each planet in this universe is actually floating on the hood of Ananda Shesha. That we don't see it, but the hoods are, thousands of hoods are there, and each planet is floating and rotating on the hoods of each Ananda Shesha. And when the time of annihilation, then the Ananda Shesha and part of this Rudra, the Shiva, is the potency of the Mahavishnu himself, and then get the signal, and then he actually wakes up from his meditation, started to do the dance, and this is called Tandava Nirta. That's the time the entire world started to shake, and then all fall down with the fire and burns down everything. And so basically, yes, it's a milk and the yogurt, but the yogurt cannot go back to a milk, but it's a manifested or the material manifestation of the same potency of the Lord Vishnu in the form of Shiva. And of course, this is called Guna Avataras. You have heard about Guna Avataras. There are 3 Guna Avataras: Brahma, Vishnu, and Maheshwar or Shiva. Shiva is the predominant deity of the Tamoguna. The Brahma is the predominant deity of the Rajoguna, and the Vishnu, the Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, is the maintains each universe. He is the predominant deity of the Sattva-guna. So he's a Guna avatar, is also incarnation of the Supreme Lord, manifest from the Kshirodakshaya Vishnu. And this is the Shiva Tattva, the principles of Lord Shiva. And then some people misunderstand things that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yes, Shiva is in this material world, that's called Shiva. Shiva is also in the spiritual realm, is called Shambhu and Sadashiva, and in the Golok Vrindavan. So this is the the principle of Shiva Tattva. Some people misunderstand this one. And also Shambhu is known as Ashutosh. He is easily pleased, and even there is a fight between the Lord Shiva and Lord Vishnu. And there is a time in the Krishna book we can see that there is a beautiful, fight between Lord Vishnu and Lord Shiva, and then finally Lord Shiva surrenders unto the Supreme Lord. And the beautiful in the Bhagavatam explains that the Lord Shiva is praying to the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna with such a beautiful verses. And so this is what it is. I think did it answer your question?
Absolutely, Prabhuji. You covered everything. I mean, more than I intend to ask, but you covered everything wonderfully. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Thank you so much for such a wonderful question, and it's a wonderful realization. It's very good to clarify. Thank you.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
Abhay. Thank you, Abhay, for engaging in this question. I'm pretty sure a lot of people have benefited with this answer. And Prabhuji gave such a rich answer, actually. I would like to revise all the points he mentioned once I hear the recording. Thank you so much, Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Okay, so any other questions? Let me see. Okay, we don't have a direct question right now at this time. I'd like to just summarize that we heard today a detailed description about the Mahajans, and Prabhuji gave a short narration, actually pretty nice short narration about each of the Mahajan and their pastimes, beautiful narrations. And he did mention many qualities of Mahajans based on the literature with examples of Srila Prabhupada and the little pastimes of Prabhupada. Such a beautiful narration. I love this talk, and I'm sure that it's a beautiful talk. Many of the topics on this, Prabhuji started the conversation with the punchline of leaders. What was that, Prabhuji? They have right things to do,
Yes,
and the
leaders, right
managers
things
do
to do.
things
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So that was really nice punchline. I'll try to think and apply that. And it's actually good that in spiritual life it is applicable as well as it's applicable in our practical life. So very nice. Any other question in the meantime? All right. So I think it's kind of coming to the concluding point at this time. If anybody else has any question, feel free to take a chance.
The one thing I wanted to reiterate is, as I mentioned in the beginning, is the information is for transformation. It's not that just for, this should help and help in such a way that we can take these points. This is not just an ordinary mundane topics. This is transcendental science. That's Acharya Shrestha. These are the points, these are the examples of great Acharyas. They taught us, they revealed this fact, this truth, so that it can all benefit us if you follow this. And our purpose, and we should always remember the purpose of our life, purpose of our existence, purpose of this human form. In Prahlad Maharaj says that it's Durlabha. Govindadas says that Durlabha Manava Janama Sange Bhajavo E Haripada Nidire. It says that Govindadas says that Durlabha Manava Janama Sange. This human birth is very rare, very rare. Out of many millions of life, after that we are getting this human life. And then think about it, just to waste another life and waste this one and getting another life. And one time asked Srila Prabhupada, then what is the big deal and if I miss this one? So he's if he can be a prime minister on this lifetime, and next time he can be a snake on the Scandinavia, some countries, or in scroll down in an African, and can. This is the only way that Krishna says that in the second chapter, 40th verse. Neho vikrama nasosti pratyavayo na vidyade salpamadhyasya dharmasya trayado mahado bhayan. Says that one who practices even little bit in this time, Pratyavayo na vidyate swalpam apiyasya dharmasya. Even little bit. Swalpam apiyasya dharmasya. This great. Swalpam apiyasya dharmasya. Prayado mahado bhayan. We can all overcome. We can all come out from this greatest danger. Bhayan, greatest fear. And many people think that, okay, greatest fear is actually facing the death or facing this tragic incidents or something like that. But the greatest fear is not that one, according to the scripture. The greatest fear is that if we don't get a human birth in the next life, that's the greatest fear. Think about that. If we miss this opportunity, this ladder, we can become, we never know that when we can have this human birth again, it can be many, many billions of lifetime after. And Srila Rupa Goswami says that all our problems in this world, root cause of our problem is ignorance. That we follow the blind, we follow the blind, we follow the ignorant. The root cause of our problem is following the ignorant and the blinds. If we follow the scripture and acharyas and the devotees and the great devotees, and our life will be sublime and the perfect, and this can give, like Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that the same. Sadhu Sangha Sarva Shastra Kaya Lava Matra Sadhu Sangha Sarva Siddhihaya. Even a moment of association of the great personalities, great devotees, and he got Sarva Siddhi. Even you may get $1 billion as a lottery, but that is nothing compared to get the Sarva Siddhi. Sarva Siddhi means nothing but get that the taste of loving devotional service to the Supreme Lord, and that is actually Purogati. It says Purogati. Purogati means we go upwards. Otherwise, what happens? We all have the Adogati. Adogati means go downwards into this cycle of birth and death and the hellish planets. All this, and then finally we just dilute and diminish, and we never know. And it's a great topic, and in terms of understanding this, yes, my humble request is actually everybody don't miss this opportunity about. Take this service and follow the footsteps of the great leaders of this ISKCON Bergen County. They take such a step. It's not easy that dedicate the life when we are all grihasthas and so many family obligations. At the same time, then dedicate their entire life for propagating this Krishna consciousness and bringing and sharing and giving this knowledge to the others, so that everybody, even a person that just come in contact with the Bhagavad-Gita or holy name or the devotees, their life is guaranteed the perfect life. And this Krishna says that their next birth as a human is guaranteed at least. So it's the greatest that we all have to take the devotees and such a great leaders and devotees to have taken such a steps and endeavors to bring everybody together and Krishna conscious, spread this Krishna consciousness to others, and everybody take it seriously, and whatever the way you all can help to serve Srila Prabhupada. And this is the greatest that which pleases Srila Prabhupada. This is the greatest of that pleases Srila Prabhupada. And when Srila Prabhupada was pleased, Yasya prasadam bhagavat prasado yasya prasadam nagati gudopi. When Srila Prabhupada and spiritual master is pleased, then Krishna is pleased. And when devotees, when Srila Prabhupada and Gurus is not pleased, Krishna is not pleased. This is all our obligation and responsibility and the duty to serve the devotee. We are none other than we are dasa, dasa, dasanu, dasa, naham mipra navara. Srila Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that we are not, Vipra, Brahmana, we are not Vaishya, we are not Shudra, we are the servants of the servants of the servants of the devotees of the Lord. We are taking that position. That's the only which will help us. Otherwise, I'm a great devotee. I didn't have this devotee, didn't talk to me. I didn't get this position. Why didn't you do this to me and that? This all, when we come together, this like cats and dogs, like materialistic, mundane people. But we have a great responsibility. You have a great mission. What is our basic and foundation which pleases the Lord and Guru most? That take that humble position and serve the people and the community. Nothing more than that. Nothing more than that. Just service to the Supreme. Nothing more than that. This is the way we can progress in our spiritual life and attain Krishna. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Prabhu, Hare Krishna. Satish here. Prabhu, it was It was so nice. The class was so nice. Yeah, I felt like, you're taking us kind of, through this, some untouched areas or places which I've never visited, kind of, kind of we were like riding along with you. And a
Thank you.
lot of information. Usually, when a lot of information comes, it's hard to focus. But then, I don't know, the way you took, it's kind of, I'm sure it's gone in there and sitting in somewhere. you know, I feel it's really, really nice, Prabhu. Very inspirational, very motivating, enlivening. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you so much. You are
Hare Krishna.
wonderful. Sadish
Thank you,
Prabhu,
Satya.
thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Prabhakar Prabhu, you wanted to say something?
Who is that? Okay. Jai Draupadi Mataji.
Jai Dupti Mataji, go ahead. Prabhakar
Thank you,
Prabhu, if you
Mataji.
wanted to
Dandot
say, then
Pranam.
you have
All
to unmute.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat
Hare Krishna
Pranam, Jai
Mataji.
Shri
Dandot Pranam.
Prabhupada.
All goes to Srila Prabhupada. All goes to Guru Maharaj.
Yes, sir. How are you, Prabhuji?
I'm doing good. Thank you. Thank you.
Prabhuji, wonderful, wonderful class. You mentioned the story about the father and the sons. Since morning, I was thinking about that. I read in the morning and I was thinking the same. And thinking whatever we do service, small or big service, like we are doing for the spiritual master, for Srila Prabhupada, for Supreme Lord, and of course devotees. Yeah, so I have a question on that.
Sure, please. Go ahead.
So like Prabhuji, in a small family, all this happens. So in big organizations, this happens in a big way. So as we, so how can we handle that at that time? Like maybe someone is trying to do sincerely, and so in that उसमें कैसे मतलब हमें strongly follow करना है कि नहीं, we are doing मतलब ego को हटा के और सब ना, how can we do that?
Yes, that's exactly the class is today for. At the Acharya Srishta, that means Srila Prabhupada says that Mahajano Yena Gada Pandaha. Mahajano Yena Gada Pandaha means one should always follow the footsteps of the great devotees. So if there is a conflict, and of course, in the Manu Samhita, there is a section, I read this book, Manu Samhita, or it's called, Manu Samhita, and it came from the Swayambhuva Manu. There was a section that it is mentioned that this way, when there is a conflict, then Sadhu Shastra Guru is always which leads us. These three aspects of Sadhu Shastra Guru, they always say the same thing. So they can, when there is a conflict, and they can refer the sadhu, the pure and the great devotee of the Lord, what is the right thing, what is not the right thing, and what needs to be done. So that's why Mahajano Yena Gada Pandaha. That means we should follow the authority. We should follow the footsteps of the Mahajanas. So the great devotees, great people in the congregation, the acharyas, the senior devotees who follows. So we can take this, instruction from such devotees. And the Manu Samhita says, Manusmriti, which is called Manusmriti or Manu Samhita, says that in that time, when a great devotee comes up with some decision, it's not that he is authorized by the Supreme Lord, right? So there is an example of when Narada Muni cursed the Nalakuvera, sons of Nalakuvera and Manigriva. Lord didn't have any plan to come down on the earth. But when devotee spoke, when devotee instructed that you be there and Lord will come, now Krishna has to come down no matter what, because of its words of devotee. So that's why many times we seen that, many times we experienced that. When devotee says something, that bound to happen. Even if it is not appropriate, maybe right, maybe wrong, whatever it is. But when a devotee says something, that will bound to happen. And this is the purity of devotee, because of Krishna is Bhakta Paradina. The Krishna says that I am dependent upon my devotee. So I am for my devotee, and if devotee wishes this way, this will bound to happen. So we should always follow that the footsteps of the great devotee. So yes, there is some conflict. Then what the great, what the leader, what the acharyas, what the devotee says, and then we should follow, and no matter what. And that was the custom we followed in our India. That's why when great devotee says, they would follow the the instructions of that great devotee. There is a ashram called Badrik Ashram. The Badrik Ashram, the priest is actually selected from my our place, our native place. No matter what, this was actually established by Shankaracharya. And then anything in that entire village of the Badrik Ashram, it is actually in the Dehradun. There is 12 hours away from it. The entire village, he is there, the king of that pujari, no matter what, who he is. But the pujari, he is worshipping the Lord there, the Badrik Ashram, and the entire villages is actually considered he as the king of that entire village. If anything needs to do, they all come to come to take the advice and the consult with this pujari, and anything, whether it is good, whatever they need to do, even there is a bit, anything that when they come and take blessings and seeking the consult. And this is our culture. We always respect the elders. We always respect the great authorities. That's why even sometimes in our culture we say that the children, we should always respect the elders, because of they have experience, they have seen the truth, they are well experienced, they have well seen the understand, they know what is. It may not be that much pleasing to the ears. That's why elders, when they say, it's initially it is bitter, but it is later it will be more sweet. So so yes, we should always consult with such devotees and pure devotees, that what is right, what not to be. So we should always follow. This is the step. Yadda Sreshta, Yadda Acharati Sreshta. We should follow the footsteps of great devotees. Then it will become completely perfect. Otherwise, it can be conflict, can be all faults and flows come in between and can crack, and it can go in different direction. But we follow that the great personality, the leader, that who says to us what to do, what not to do, we should just follow such, because of this is an authorization of the Supreme Lord. This is an authority. This is the will of the Lord. Yes, we may not agree, but but we have to follow, and that's the great quality of a devotee. We should follow. And as Acharya, that's called Acharya. That's a quality of a devotee, to follow the footsteps, not to imitate. Imitation, that's what is this problem. Conflict comes when we imitate. I am going to become a president of this country. How is that possible? There can be only one president. It's not possible. So everybody has a what is called a position. Everybody has their own, where they can, they can work on it, where they can act upon it. We should always follow the instructions, not our own ideas. We bring up so many times our own ideas, mental concoctions. I am great, I am this, I am right, I'm so right. I'm so right, and nobody can challenge me. I'm so great. Who can? I'm so much of PhD. I have so much of knowledge, and so much of knowledge. And who can tell like that to me? No. Even the Lord listens to his devotees. That's the Villamangalam Thakur. Krishna was sitting nearby what Villamangalam Thakur was saying, and Krishna was willing to become the charioteer of the Arjuna and take the beatings, take these footsteps on his shoulders. That's the Lord. So always devotee, the position of a devotee is great, and the great devotees are the greatest of this world, that we should always take the shelter of devotees. We should have that humbleness and humility and understanding that, many times, even in our spiritual organization, ego comes a bigger role. I'm so and so, I'm that, I'm this, I'm that, but forgetting that, like in the example of given, that the children are actually, started to massage the father, but then they started to fight each other, and who is doing what? He is killing the father. It's killing our entire movement with that. That never helps. So we have to always remember this. And this is the verdict of Manu, that we should consult, and whatever the verdict comes from the senior and the collective, that we should follow that. That will be perfect, because of that's the will of the Lord. Sometimes there is a Dharma Sangha. There may not be any scriptural references, may not be anything that which is mentioned somewhere, what to do, what to be done. So that time we should always take the words, the verdict, and the advice of the devotee, the pure devotees of the Lord. Was it okay?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. Wonderful. Yeah.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you.
I think we are almost to the end. I'm not sure. Yogi, you have a question?
Yes, so I would comment on like thank you for getting such a like good class, and I really enjoyed it. I like how you say that we should be very humble and like we should have a lot of humility, and how we only have one chance to live and we don't know what we are going to become in the next life. So that really helped me and understand that this life is very important.
Yes. So, what is the question? I couldn't hear in between. I think it was breaking.
That was a comment.
Oh, that's a comment. Yes, exactly. Thank you so much, Yogi. That's such a wonderful realization at a small age. It's very good that you keep up that in the mind. Yes, this life is very important, especially human birth is very rare. And after many, many lifetimes that we get this human birth and not to be wasted, this human life. We should always follow the father and the instructions of the parents. And they are the well-wishers and they are the greatest. And he says that always, that as we can say, similarly, we can consider them as well as the God. The parents, the teacher, they're all considered as the God, representatives of the God. So we should always follow their instructions and take their instruction. So this will give great benefits to our life, which will leads and gives us such a wonderful life and realizations and understanding of the transcendental in this Krishna conscious science of Krishna consciousness. What is this world and how this world is going and what is the factors of this world and who is controlling this world, everything, where is come from, where everything comes from, and who is the real father and mother, what is our purpose of life. Everything will come that if you follow and understand the instructions of the parents, instructions of the elders, instructions of the spiritual master and the gurus. And of course, and we should be always remember that in this life, that the best thing that we can do in this age of Kali is chanting of the holy name. I would recommend, Yogi, that please chant the holy name at least you can. This will give everything. Sarva Siddhi ho. You will attain Sarva Siddhi by chanting of the holy name and listening Srimad Bhagavatam. Will you do that?
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for nicely putting your realizations. Keep up and Supreme Lord will bless you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Yogi. I think Prabhakar Prabhu is trying to ask something. Just trying to get connection with him.
I think I'm not hearing. I think it's
Prabhakar Prabhu, on the bottom left, you see unmute button, and there is a drop-down list. If you click on that, right, you see unmute on the bottom left of your screen. There is a arrow, up arrow. If you click on that and go to audio settings, I think your microphone.
I think his audio is on the phone. I think his audio on the phone.
Can you type in the chat the question? If you're not able to speak, can you type in the chat?
Let me call, because Prabhakar Prabhu tries it, he's having difficulties, but let me try to call him, because every time Prabhu wants to ask and he's not able to. Prabhu, I'm calling you on the phone. If you can pick up the phone, then you can speak. Yes, Prabhu, you're on. Please ask your question.
Okay.
Okay, turn off your volume. Turn off your volume. Yes, speak.
Maybe somebody can ask, and then they can speak.
Go ahead, Prabhu. Go ahead, Prabhu. Speak.
Lot of echo. Okay. Typing the question is okay. Okay, wonderful. So the question is, I get confused between Krishna and Vishnu. I come from Tirupati. I'm a devotee of Vishnu. Can you please answer? Okay. This is always a great question, Prabhuji. Yes, it's wonderful. So let me reply to that. So let me give you this example. So there is a judge. So judge goes to the court. So then what happens when judge goes to the court? Everybody stand up. There is an awe and reverence. As soon as judge comes to the courtroom, everybody gets up, and everybody is in very awe and reverential, worship of the judge. So judge perform his duty, and that same judge come back to his home. Now the same judge come back to his home, and now he's a homely man. He's maybe a husband. He may be a grandfather. He may be a wonderful person. He has friends. He has family, and then maybe grandchildren may play with him and climb on his shoulder and the back and to play with him. So there is no difference between Krishna and Vishnu, but only the difference is when Krishna comes home. And in the Golok of Vrindavan, he has his associates, very close associates, his wife, his children, his friends, everybody. Krishna is very beautifully engaged into the very personal activities. But that same Krishna then actually comes to the Vaikunta. He's a judge now. How he's in an office. So everybody is actually going and to him and worship him in a very specific. That's what is temple worship. It's very specific time. 12 o'clock there is an arati. And evening bhoga there is an arati. This is the worship. So that Vishnu and this Krishna is the same personality. And then Krishna is in Golok Vrindavan. He's like in a home, and the Vishnu, the same Krishna, is actually in an office. There is an awe and reference, there is regulations, there is rules and everything. So Krishna and Vishnu is same, and then one is in Vaikunta and another is in Goloka Vrindavan, the topmost planet, but the same personality. Krishna and Vishnu is same. Did it answer your question? Okay. Hope that helped. Thank you so much.
I think from his reactions, looks like he's satisfied with the answer. So thank you so much. And he is, just for the information, Prabhakar Prabhu is a very, very senior devotee, and he is actually one of the first devotee of the ISKCON Bergen, who sincerely started coming in, and he has been
Thank you so much.
a big supporter. And actually, he is the person who has actually met Prabhupada as well.
Wow, great.
So,
Thank you. Dandot Pranam, Prabhuji.